Wednesday of the second week of Lent. With a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. Luke 10:33. Today, we continue to dwell in the moment when Jesus taught the crowds the parable of the Good Samaritan. As we know, it is the story of a Jewish man who is traveling and along the way falls victim to robbers. Two of his fellow countrymen, a priest and a Levite, pass by without helping. Then Jesus explains, someone unexpected stops to help the man. A Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where the man was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. Luke 10:33. Samaritans were foreigners, people the Jews looked down on as pagans. Yet it was the Samaritan who had compassion on the injured man. He bound up the man's wounds and carried him to an inn. There, Jesus tells us the Samaritan took care of him. When the Samaritan left, he promised to come back, and he gave the innkeeper money to continue caring for the man. The word compassion literally means to suffer with. In this parable, a deeper meaning points to God's own compassion. Humanity, wounded by sin, has been left to die. Jesus steps in to rescue and heal us, to share in our sufferings and redeem it. Through the parable, Jesus reveals God's merciful compassion for us in our suffering. We imagine that Mary is there in the crowd, listening to her son teach about mercy and compassion of God. The compassion of God who suffers with us is something Mary knows. While Mary was visiting Elizabeth, she praised God in the words of her famous Magnificat. His mercy is on those who fear him from generation to generation. Luke 1:50. The original Greek word for mercy here is eleos, which comes from the root word meaning oil that is poured out. In essence, Mary speaks of the merciful love of God that is poured out on the afflicted and suffering. Some 30 years before Jesus shared this parable of the Good Samaritan, Mary herself experienced great uncertainty and suffering. In Matthew 2, we read that an angel of the Lord spoke to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and remain there till I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Matthew 2:13. The Holy Family fled to Egypt before Herod's men stormed Bethlehem and carried out Herod's orders to kill all the boys 2 years old and younger. We can only imagine the sorrow that pierced Mary's heart when word of this terrible massacre reached her. What must it have been like for her, as mother, to consider the wailing and loud lamentation of the mothers of Bethlehem, whose children were murdered? We can picture Mary weeping for those mothers as she rocks Jesus in her arms, experiencing their pain and suffering as if it were her own. Through the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus is showing us how we are called to suffer with others, to show them mercy, just as God suffers with us. We can imagine that Mary, as she listens to her son tell the parable, recalls Herod's threat, the Holy Family's flight to Egypt, and the agony of the mothers of Bethlehem. She is with you, too, in your suffering. For your prayer, spend an additional 15 minutes today in prayer. Reflect on the lives of Jesus and Mary through the Rosary and aim to pray 3 decades if you can. At the end of each decade, Pause for a few minutes of silence and ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you about Mary and suffering. Then ask Mary to take you to her Son. Let go of any distractions and let this happen however the Spirit desires. Simply ask Mary to bring you to Jesus. What words stood out to you as you prayed?